guys, and welcome to this week's reading vlog where we're gonna lock in together and read some of Goodreads' Choice Award winners from like last year's collection and whatnot, because at the moment I'm looking for a new favorite book and I know it will deliver on that front, which is why let's just hop right in because I've been waiting quite a while to record this and it's finally time. So now for context, these awards work in the sense that all the new releases from a specific year are round up at the end of the year, and basically the people of Goodreads are made to like choose and vote on their favorites, and then the one with the most votes kind of wins each award in each like genre category. And the way it works essentially is that because it's been rounded up on people's opinion, it's always the finest of the finest that are chosen to given the award, because in my own experience, if I've ever read a new release around the time it comes out and then later in the year once the awards are finally given, it gets an award, or if I go ahead and choose to read a book because it's gotten the award, I haven't gotten to it yet, I've always noticed that it's somehow my newest favorite book. It always turns out to be so amazing. Literally, it's like when you hand it that award, it's getting like a golden badge, declaring it like a winner in that sort of category, because it's turned out to be a favorite of the people and somehow it becomes a favorite of mine as well. And at the moment at least, I think I'm falling into a reading slump, so I desperately need a new favorite book, and so we're resorting to pulling the big guns out essentially for this video, kind of cheating my way through it because these are already chosen by the world and whatnot to be the best in the category. And so we're going to be reading some today together in this video, because I want not just a 5-star because I haven't found one so far this year, but also like a nice fun book so I don't fall into the slump and I just want to have a good time overall, and that's what we're doing essentially. And so I went to the categories. There are some that I've already gotten to over the span of the past year and whatnot, and there are some that I'm not really interested to or not in the mood for at the moment, which is why some have been ruled out. But then finally, rounding it up, I have gone ahead and chosen 4 categories that we'll be reading 4 different books out of, because they're on my TBR and I've been waiting to get to them for a little bit. So that's my excuse of doing so in this video, which is why for the next week we're going to essentially lock in, read these 4 categories of the books and whatnot, and hopefully pray that the ones I actually end up getting to in this video turn out to be my newest favorite read, because at the moment at least that's literally all I'm looking for. And so that's what we're doing today. I will be starting off with the category of mystery and thriller because that's what I'm in the mood for right now, and I will be audiobooking because I have a few assignments that I need to get through with for college today, which is why that's what we're doing right now and that's what I'm gonna go get into. But before anything, again, for context, please ignore the fact that the curtains are down and the light is still streaming in. It's because it was getting backlit the clip, which is why as soon as I'm done talking, the curtain is going back up. We're gonna have sunlight flowing in, my stuff's gonna be out, audiobook plugged in and ready to go, because I'm so excited to like jump right in honestly and see how these books fare up, if the people's opinion also equates to my opinion and it turns out to be like the best book ever. And so let's just start. I'm so excited again to see where it goes, and that's what we're doing today. So hopefully it's like a fun concept overall that gets me my newest favorite book, and we'll just have to see if it stands the test of time, but that's what we're doing essentially. Hi guys, so as you can tell, it's much later. I have sat in the same spot. I've maybe gotten up like once or twice in the middle to take like a quick break because I didn't want to be on my screen the entire time on the laptop working. But apart from that, haven't really moved out of my room and whatnot. And in this one sitting, I've gone ahead and finished the first book for our video. So it was under the mystery and thriller category, and it's called Not Quite Dead Yet, which is the new Holly Jackson book from last year. And all I'm gonna say is, having read this now, I understand the hype behind her books, which is great for me because I knew I wanted to get to Good Girl's Guide to Murder, that series this year, and because I already have the books now, it's so convenient for me to like jump in because this was so amazing that now I can't wait to start those, because I just know that if a single book, a standalone, was that good, imagine how much better the series will be, which is why here we are. I've finished at this point, coming to give you my review instantly because that's the only thing on my head right now. This is like such a close 5-star, it barely missed the mark, that honestly I have a great feeling for the rest of the books anyway, because I just know that if we've already started off this strong, imagine how much better it's going to keep going. Essentially, for like a quick premise on this one specifically, we follow our main character called Jet, and she essentially has lived this like very sheltered life and whatnot because she's 27 at this point, and you know, she's always done this thing wherein she tries something and then she says she'll do it later. And so she's dropped out of law school, she tried working in a bank, and then she, you know, let go of that at some point as well because she has the like safety net to fall back on, because her family is like on the wealthier side. They own this like home renovation renovation and upscaling sort of company when they make it into like mansions and stuff. So they've definitely got cash rolling in, and which is why, you know, she's not in too much of like a time constraint at the moment. She's just like saying she'll do stuff later and she'll wait until the actual moments and opportunities arrive before she can start living her life, and that's when life truly starts. Except one day all of it gets spun on the axis and whatnot because it's Halloween night. She gets back home by herself. It's kind of late and they don't really realize that they've left the back door of the house unlocked. So she's in the house alone doing something mundane when someone comes behind her and knocks her 3 times in the head from the back. So when she wakes up from like a coma a couple days later, she finds out that she actually has a brain injury at this point, and because she was knocked 3 times in the back of the head, they actually knocked loose this like bone inside her head. I'm not really smart at the science stuff and whatnot, but the way the author described it, because the bone has been knocked loose in her head, she's got like 7 days left to live until it completely like obstructs the functions in her brain and whatnot, and then thanks to that she'll die. So basically her injury inside is keeping her alive on very much like a time clock, and suddenly life cannot be lived later down the line the way she keeps saying that, oh, it'll start later when things happen, because now is the end of it. She's got only 7 days left to live until that bone completely like detaches and mashes into her head and whatnot and ruins her functions. So she vows that she'll finally do something with the last 7 days she's got left in her life, and that she's going to solve her own murder, which is so interesting because she's already been killed at this point. She's just living out her final days trying to figure out who it is. And so she doesn't have like enemies specifically, but she's still going through the list of all the people she knows, anyone who could be suspects, because like her phone was taken away, but she's got like her Apple Watch, so trying to track that, trying to track who it might be, but also everyone close around her who might have some sort of motive and alibi connected to it, because everyone is suspicious at some point. So she's like investigating her family, she's investigating some of her friends, she's looking into some of the local townies and other people who were present at the Halloween party beforehand who actually noticed her and maybe got into a fight with her. She's looking into her ex-boyfriend and his brother, and it's so interesting the way it's done, because like the police are not necessarily dumb in this, but the way it's done, it's like she's 2 steps smarter than them until they catch up, and so it's always something that's happening. And because of the fact that now she's gonna die in 7 days, there's very much like a time constraint established in the book that forces it to be high stakes, because you cannot waste a single second. She's gonna be gone at some point, and so, you know, until that happens, she really needs to amp things up and actually get to the bottom of it before she dies. And I feel like already right off the bat you know from the beginning what's going to happen at the end, but still the way it happened, the authors left me traumatized. I'm trying not to cry at the very end, especially with the letters and stuff. If you've read it, you must be like so brave, because I cannot. I don't know what to say at the moment. At least this was such like an incredible book to go along with everything that lined up with it. Forgot to mention, but she actually partners with her childhood friend Billy, and then, you know, there's like a small romance subplot as well, the way all of that takes place. So we have mystery, we have that between the two of them, but more or less their friendship as well. We have like other things going on, and then there's like her dark humor, because, you know, she's very much dying, so she makes jokes related to death which no one really finds funny except her. So there's all of that. All I'll say is this book gave me like warm fuzzy feelings, and I know that this author writes YA specifically, so I went into it thinking she would be like a lot younger than she is, but then later I found out it's an adult version, but it's still YA and whatnot. Nothing really happens, you don't have to worry. It's just considering that we're following the point of view of this unapologetic girl who is so sarcastic and so funny, but so like determined to get to the bottom of it. I had the best time, honestly. I was giggling so hard at some bits, and even though it doesn't follow a YA character, it very much still is a YA book, and it definitely gave me those vibes of when I was younger and I'd borrow books from the school library and stay up late at night reading, and my parents would, you know, come in the room every like 10 minutes telling me to like cut it out so they can close the lights and tuck me into bed. But I just kept pushing until like really late into the night because I didn't want to sleep, because the book was keeping me up, because it was that great. And so I haven't had that feeling for some time now in books, and now that I am getting it in this book, all I'm gonna say is I'm so happy I got to it. For some reason I didn't have like a lot of expectations going in, but I guess that really helped, because the way it made me feel this entire book, easy 4.5 stars. The only reason it fell off the mark is because I actually guessed it. I don't know how I did. I just, a couple things in my head clicked for me, and then I guessed it. I didn't guess the entire thing, but I did definitely guess the person, and then once the dominoes started falling, I knew I was correct. So apart from that, it still was an amazing book. I still had the best time reading. It was like a whirlwind. It was so like crazy and insane, and the fast pacedness really kept me on the edge of my seat. And if you haven't already read it, please do. This definitely deserves the award in its category and whatnot. And all I can say is now I'm so excited to like get to whatever new release she comes out with next, whatever she's got on her like backlist and stuff, because I do own like a few books by her. And yeah, I just want to say happy after having read this, which hasn't happened in a bit with reading, but I'm happy that I, know how to read, and I'm using my eyes and ears, because this was an audiobook, productively into like putting my time into reading this, because it was so worth it. I had the best time ever, and I definitely see the hype behind the author. So here we are, finished this out, had the best time, and now I am taking a break, and I might be going to college tomorrow, so because of which later in the night, once I start the next book, after my dinner break and whatnot, I will need to start something so I can like continue working on assignments, and then tomorrow when I'm going to college, something on my commute on the way there and over, which is why I'll see y'all now directly tomorrow, because at the moment all I want to do is like ponder on this book until I decide to like move on with something else. But yeah, basically I'll see y'all in a bit now, once I have like the next book down and whatnot, once I have moved on from this, because I don't think that's happening anytime soon. This is easily the best book I've read so far this month, and yeah, I just have these like warm, happy butterfly feelings, and it's kind of traumatizing with the ending of the book, but I still have it. So all good things to say overall. We'll start my next book and update y'all then, but until then, yeah, just know that we've already started with such a strong, nice start to this video, and that's always like a good sign for the rest of the week, which is why here we are, keeping my fingers crossed it continues on this track, because I'm already finding a favorite book here, which is why here we are. I'm gonna go now, and I'll see you in only a little bit, so bye. Happy morning guys, it's now the next day. I did go ahead and start the next book, but this update is not about that. It's about the fact that I woke up early for college. I was gonna head right out, and then I found out that because no one's attending, the one class that there is got cancelled. So I don't have to go about like 3 hours back and forth to attend college, but because I woke up and now my sleep is wasted, I'm gonna be working and continuing to listen, which is why the audiobook's gonna get over like much sooner now, because there's only like half left and I'm listening to it sped up. But I just came in to update, that was not expected, which is why we're devoting more hours today into reading, which is fun, but also I'm kind of pissed off because I'm tired. So we'll see what I end up doing, but basically I just came in to rant, which is why here I am. I genuinely wish this stuff didn't happen, because I woke up, I was so ready to leave, and then I found out that it wasn't there. But at least I didn't leave the house, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go get back to my book now, continue working I guess, and I'll see y'all in a bit once I do have updates to give y'all. But the next one is actually really good, and I'm not too mad about the college thing, because now I can listen to my book in peace and just have a good chill day to myself, which is always fun and appreciated. So here we are, I'm gonna get back to it, and that's the plan for right now. It's still really early, so here we are. Hi guys, so it's now the next day. I did go ahead and finish our next book. I actually finished yesterday, but in the chaos of not having gone to college but also woken up early in the morning and then finishing assignments but being like overall really tired, I just did not come into update. I ended up napping in the evening, then working again late into the night with assignments. But yeah, in the middle of everything, I did go ahead and continue listening to our audiobook. I started a couple nights ago. It was like 4 in the morning till I was reading that day, and then again yesterday had to stay up, and I finished this in less than 24 hours. So this is quite the testament to say I really enjoyed my time. So it's time to give you a quick update on the book I finished and then the next one that I started, because there's a lot of things going on right now. But basically, since the last time I came in and spoke to you, I did go ahead and start and finish the book called Fake Skating by Lynn, because I was really in the mood for like just a nice sweet little romance to read. And I'll be so for real, a couple years ago I actually read The Do-Over by the same author, and I remember really loving that. I ended up having to go back to buy a physical copy, made my sister read it, made my cousin read it, me and my best friend and book club read it, then again reread it myself last year along with my sister, which is quite the proof to say that I really loved that book specifically by the author. So I don't know why it never struck me to go back and read more of her backlist, because everyone says that she's the queen of YA, and I can see now with like good reason, because this one, Fake Skating, it's very much a YA book, but the way it's done, oh my god, if y'all want a book with like good romance yearning, because they don't make stuff like that anymore, this is perfect, this is it, please pick it up. And I had the best time ever reading it. For a quick premise, we basically follow Alec and Danny, and for context, this has like all the popular tropes and whatnot. So there's like popular jock boy and shy nerdy girl, then there's like second chance romance and childhood friends to lovers. And the way it's done, it's just like hyped up tropes, but they hit every single time because it was so good. But basically, for context, in the past they were like really close, because Danny, her dad actually is a colonel in the Air Force, and so growing up they'd always have to move from place to place as his assignments chapters would get like posted and whatnot, but she always had one constant growing up, and that was to go back for the summer to her grandpa's place where Alec basically lives. And so, you know, kind of spend the summers there, growing up as a kid, having the best time with him, being so close. Except one summer something happens that, you know, changes the trajectory of their like friendship and stuff, and suddenly, you know, they're not sure about things anymore as they're starting to grow up as well. You know, they end up thinking that the other ghosted them. There's a bit of miscommunication there, and then as it turns off, suddenly the summers with her grandfather get cut short and she's not going back there anymore. So now fast forward to present timeline, mom actually ends up divorcing her dad, so they actually do have to go back to live with their grandfather again, which means now she's gonna have to reconnect with Alec many years later, that she's going to be a teenager, and she's really excited that he's going to be like the same boy she remembered back when they were younger and whatnot, because he was nerdy like her and really sweet and just the best time overall. And she's just hopeful that they can move past their miscommunications and things that happened in the past, because she still looks at him as a friend even though they haven't had like contact in a few years. Except as it turns out, she gets to the town and it's like a hockey obsessed town, don't get me wrong, but the way it is that he's completely transformed and changed from the guy she remembers, because now he's like the popular hockey jock. Everyone like obsesses over him. They literally worship him like he's a god. They call him Zeus in the hockey thing because he's like so good at it and he's like the best in the team and whatnot. He's going to bring home the championship. He's got quite the career ahead of him, and you know, he isn't the person she really thought he'd turn out to be. It looks like, you know, their friendship might not go to many places because they're very like standoffish from each other at the beginning, except something happens. There's like a turn thrown in there and suddenly his hockey like career to be in the future is on the line, and so he has to pretend to be like this really sweet boy with like nice roots to kind of get recruited because there's some, you know, bad PR that almost comes out about him. And so he and Danny hatch up this plan wherein they're going to scheme and pretend like they've been childhood sweethearts all along, so people start looking at him as like a really friendly figure, especially outside of the town, and so he gets everything he's wanted because he's been a sweet kid. It's just the way he's being framed at the moment, at least things are not looking good for him. And so as they start like fake dating and stuff, again true feelings are getting involved. They're bringing back stuff from the past, and you know, there's a lot going on, but basically now you're wondering if the fake skating, fake dating thing is actually real. And I think it's so sweet because again, the way it's done, the past timelines, the present stuff, it isn't necessarily past, but the way you get like flashbacks of stuff that happened back in the day, and then, you know, stuff that's coming back now, and just cute, sweet, bubbly feelings. And again, the same thing I said for the previous book, this definitely feels like something I would stay up late into the night reading when I was younger because it was so good. I could not put it down. I was giggling every 2 seconds. Her grandfather, the one whose place she's living at, is like a hockey legend as well, but he's like retired and stuff, and so everyone's like obsessing over him. So there's like a bunch of cute scenes that come with that, and then the whole thing about family and everything else with it, the friendships she forms. I feel like this was overall a well-rounded book, and I feel like that's really good, especially in the YA genre, because I feel like YA, because there isn't a lot that can happen in the romance itself, it focuses a lot on like actual life and yearning, and the way it's done is so good because I don't know, the tension to me was amazing. I had such a good time reading it. I had such a good time kind of going along with the characters and seeing their perspectives and lives and kind of having so much fun with it, because this was truly just such an amazing, incredible book. And now, again, this is my reminder that I need to go back and read more of her backlist because this was so good. Why am I not doing it? Because I had the best time ever. But here we are anyway. I'm done with it at this point. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. All I'll say is that I'm obsessed with the two of them. I'm obsessed with Alec, the way he just treats her and behaves and is like overall so sweet. Biggest like golden retriever almost, after you like go beyond the facade that he's putting up and whatnot. And then not just that, he has like such a good music taste, because there were like a couple references thrown around in the books. He's listening to Exile by Taylor Swift when like they have like an up and down kind of situation in their relationship. He has the Black Dog on his playlist. So all I'm gonna say is lots of things I connected to in this book and had fun with, and I feel like it definitely goes deeper than the romance as well, because there's other things going on, like I said, with her life and her family. But overall, yeah, I had the best time ever. And right now, at least, I'm trying to like cut down on my book buying, because so far this year I haven't bought a single book, but I did have the best time with this and I do really want a copy. So if I go to my local bookstore in the next couple of weeks, I will pick it up then, because I am trying to shop locally. But if that doesn't end up happening, I think a little bit I'm just going to end up having to call for my own physical copy from Amazon, because I am obsessed with this. I need it in my life. I need to make my sister read it now, everyone I know. And so here we are. The bug has definitely caught me and I'm so happy about it because I had the best time ever. And yeah, I'm done with this now. Had the best time, and so 4.5 stars easy. This was so fun, and if you haven't already picked it up, and if you want something that gives you like lighthearted, giggly romance vibes, something that's bubbly and sweet but also well-rounded, this is it, and please pick it up. Now I did go ahead and start the next book for this video. I actually started it on Kindle a couple days ago because I didn't have anything to read in the nights before bed and stuff, except, you know, I have gotten quite some progress made on this too, because I haven't been able to put it down. It's been so fun, this one as well, but it's more of like a heavy emotional book, which is why I'm trying to take my time with it. Except right now I kind of do have a free day because I have only a few assignments left. I can definitely take some time off to like take a break before I get back to them, which is why I'm gonna continue reading the next one on Kindle now. Just take like a quick breather and get through with this, and then meet up with you guys in a bit, maybe later. But yeah, hopefully soon I should be done with our next book as well, because so far I'm enjoying that too. So just come in an update now once I have things to say about that. I just wanted to say that I've started it at this point, and maybe I'll switch over to audio if I have work to get to later, who knows. But for right now, this is a good one as well, and I can't wait to come update about it because I have good feelings about the next one too. But so far, yeah, we're on a great roll for this video, because so far we found a couple 4.5 stars, and that's been really good. So far the best reading week I've had, so let's just hope that mojo continues this way, especially for the next one, because I know it's going to be more of like an emotional, painful book with the way things are going right now. But yeah, I'm gonna go get back to it now. I'll see you all in a bit, and that's about it. Please ignore the fact now in the background with my curtains down, because I do want to show you the cherry blossoms that have been starting blossoming outside my window at this point. But because it's getting backlit the clip because of the intense sunlight outside my window, I'll come back again later in the evening and show it to you as I'm updating on the next book. But yeah, so far all fun vibes. I'm having a good time in my imaginary story worlds, having a good time watching the scene outside my window, and having the best time overall with this challenge. So far I'm having the best week ever, and hopefully that continues. But yeah, I'm gonna see you guys now in a bit, and until then, bye. So far I'm just praying now the next one also turns out to be a 4.5, 5 star, who knows. But yeah, I'm having the best week because I'm finding only good books. And so can this just continue for the rest of forever, literally, please? So it's been exactly 24 hours since I went ahead and finished the next book for this video, but I kind of needed that breather to kind of figure out my thoughts on it before I came in and gave them, because I'm gonna be so for real, I truly believe this book broke me, and at the moment I'm still, unsure about my rating, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna say it out loud, but possibly this could be a 5 star if I keep thinking about it. At the moment it's not, but it could be, which is why I had to take the time out to kind of again ponder. Still haven't come to a decision, but here we are anyway. The next book I ended up getting to is called Atmosphere by Jenkins Reid. At this point, I feel like basically the entire internet has read it, so it's like nothing new and whatnot. I just feel so stupid having taken so long to get to it, because I remember like having it downloaded for months on my Kindle, and I finally picked it up for this video, and now mind is blown, because a couple years ago, I think it was like 2024 or something like that, towards the end of it when I had gone off on vacation, I think it was like December time, I do remember like picking up a Jenkins Reid like novella. It was called Evidence of the Affair, and I remember really loving that one. It had me almost like sobbing. I wanted more, having the best time, and I knew I wanted to like get 2 more books of hers. I just didn't, which is why I guess everything happens at the right time, because I found this book, picked it up, and now it feels like my life has changed. Basically, you can kind of tell from the cover and the title, we follow our main character Joan, who's very much interested in like all things space related. So she, is obsessed with the stars, she's obsessed with the sky, and all the, I guess, like science that goes behind it. You would basically find her pondering and thinking it over, and she's just like really just incredibly in awe of what we've got as humans by the nature and whatnot, and that's her version of God essentially. Otherwise, she's basically living her life in limbo. So she's like working as a professor at this like university, I believe. She's like being busy as an aunt to her niece Frances, and there's like a bunch of other odd things she's doing, but it's all like in this way where she's just living through the motions of life without actually living her life, if that makes any sense. So she's doing what's expected of her, but she's not actually having the best time doing it. Except one day she actually finds out through the grapevine, her sister I believe, that NASA is actually offering like a few seats now for the first women to like go into space, because this is set back in the 1980s, and this is when it was first starting up for women specifically. So she ends up applying, and in the second round of applications, because the first time she was rejected and she didn't really expect a lot, the second time she gets accepted, and it's so unexpected because she, again, her expectations were not through the roof. She wanted it, but she wasn't sure if she'd get it. But once she does now in the second round, and she's chosen out of like this applicant pool of like thousands of other people, she's kind of thrown into, I guess, like the space center and whatnot to like work there and kind of train to become an astronaut among like all these other people to kind of fulfill all these missions and stuff and start researching in a way that now she can be sent into space essentially. And so she's working alongside a bunch of other incredibly, I guess, like talented people. There's like an engineer, there's like space scientists and everything else like it, there's pilots, there's people from the military and stuff. So you kind of see this found family situation building, and it all seems to be going great and, you know, basically living the dream life for these people, except, you know, something happens in their mission of December 1984. I will literally never forget that, because the whole mission, I think it's truly broken something in me. But something happens on that specific mission and suddenly life won't be as it is, because, you know, it's almost like a before and after sort of situation, and you can't really expect happy things basically. But that's basically the story, and without ruining too much about it, all I'm gonna say is this was an incredible story about like everything. So there was like friendship, there was love and life and loss, and just anything you can think of, the author incorporated it in this like almost realistic human sense, wherein if you told me these people really existed out there, you don't even need to tell me, in my head they do, I would believe you still, regardless. So in my head, they're still doing all their space missions and whatnot, despite the ending of the book and whatnot, because it was perfect to me. The found family in this, honestly incredible. There were so many characters at the beginning, so like the first couple chapters, it was hard to keep track of. But right after I got it, I feel like the author did such like a great job establishing like distinction between everyone, so you could kind of make out who was who and still have like unique relationships with like each person established. And then not just that, we have like a romance in here, which that was incredible. It was unfair because it was set back in the 1980s, so there were like different ideological like beliefs then, but it was so well done regardless of, you know, everything else coming with it. And all I'll say is, again, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I thought this was probably the best, most romantic story with so much passion and yearning that I've read. And the way it took place, again, I'm such a goner, I need books like this because this was incredible to me. And then there's all the other stuff with the space missions and everything, and I found that so interesting because back when I was a little kid, I wasn't like necessarily obsessed with space and whatnot, but I do remember going through a phase wherein I really wanted like a telescope to like look at the stars and stuff. And so I remember the morning my aunt actually got this one I specifically wanted, that they were only selling back in the US back in the day. And so, you know, she lives there. When she came down and whatnot, she got it with her, and I remember the morning specifically like unboxing it and putting it together within like 40 minutes or something, which is crazy because I was like so young then. And I remember staying up late in the night, you know, despite whatnot, and just looking up at the night sky and like trying to look at stars back when we didn't have like so much pollution, you could actually see the sky. And so I find it so interesting that, you know, this book for some reason was able to unlock that spark from back in, I don't even know, maybe like 15, okay, no, actually like 10 years ago, but still it kind of got that back in me. And suddenly now I want to go unearth my old telescope and still look at the sky, even though there's too much like, I guess, smoke around the stars to be able to see anything clearly. But still, because this was so good to me, I feel like the whole storyline with everything else combined in it was perfect. I don't know how to explain it to you, but if you're ready to read like a heartbreaking story, this is perfect. I will say though, the ending, I wish we got a little more, just like an epilogue to see how the characters ended up, what happened next, what not, what happens with Joan and her family and her life sort of. But apart from that, all I'll say is I was crying my eyes out like a little baby towards the end, so it was perfect to me. I had the best time ever. The only reason I didn't record that is because there's already enough footage of me crying to books on the internet, so I don't want to like add to my digital history at this point. But just believe me when I say this book actually broke me, and I keep thinking about it in spurts, because when I think about it, I'm like holding back tears. There's specific scenes. If you know the song, I think it's called Space Oddity by David Bowie. If you've read the book, you'll get the reference. Every time I think of that, I just want to break down, but at the same time, I cannot crash out because I know I'll fall into the biggest reading slump ever. So here we are. I'm done with it at this point. I don't know what else to say. I truly think that this could be 5 stars if I keep thinking about it the way I'm thinking at the moment, but I'm not sure, because if it was 5 stars, I wouldn't be like contemplating my rating, which is why for now it's 4.5. But regardless, I thought this was such like an amazing story. It gave me everything I would ever want, and I still had the best time ever. So here we are. I'm thinking right now, and I'm trying not to spiral, because I mean, what else do I even say? This was just so amazing. If you haven't gotten to it, please do. All the hype online is real. The way the author has written certain things, I put certain quotes in like the b-roll and stuff, truly incredible. Don't know how a human did it, but at the same time, this shows that human value is way more than anything AI can produce, because that is actual slop in comparison to like what we got here. And so here we are. Also really quick, I forgot to mention the fact that this has like a past and future timeline situation almost. So like in the past, or I guess in the present timeline, they're kind of training at their space station, space center, whatever it's called. I'm so sorry, I'm not that into space stuff, but they're training over there and getting ready for their missions. And then the future is the December 1984 timeline, wherein they actually go on that mission and things go wrong in it basically. And all I'm gonna say is, right from the very beginning, because literally the first chapter is basically what's happening in the future timeline, what's gonna happen, and how the book is gonna end, and the foreshadowing in this is insane. But regardless, you will continue reading, even though the author is gonna rip your heart to shreds, even though it's not gonna end happy for everyone, just because the way she hooks you in with the story. I couldn't put it. I have little chills speaking about it. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I do, because it was just such an insane book. And yeah, all I'm gonna say is she did such an amazing job. The more I think about it, the more I believe it could be 5 stars, but at the same time I'm conflicted. So I'll keep thinking it over for probably the future. But here we are anyway. All I had to say was, because it's divided into 2 timelines, somehow she still managed to make it in a way that you're still invested into the story. It's not like deviating or I guess boring holes into it and whatnot. It's not having you find it monotonous. I don't know. I just think the way she story told it, that even a word, was like so incredible, because you are hooked, regardless of knowing how it's gonna end and regardless of knowing that it won't be so great. But you still want to see it through. You still want to hope that she gives them a better ending. And so here we are. I still thought it was an incredible story anyway, and this probably, can I just say it, this I think in my opinion is the greatest love story ever written that I have read so far, because it was just so incredible. And maybe it'll become my top one, I guess, like romance story as well. Who knows? I'll have to think it over. But it's definitely in the same league as like Beach Read, Marriage for One, those books that I keep, yapping about. Nora goes off script, because this made me feel that way. So I don't know. Let me think it over. But yeah, I had to come in and say that. Like I said, this was an incredible, wonderful time, and I'm so happy I finally got to the story. And now I can't wait to go and binge the author's like backlist and stuff, because at this point I think I'm going to be a fangirl for life, especially of this author, which is why I'm happy I read this, happy I had a good time regardless. And so here we are. I want to say moving on, but I keep thinking of points to add in my review, which is why I don't think I'll ever move on from this book. And so I'll continue thinking over my rating. By the time when I'm editing, if it is 5 stars, I'll have it on screen. But yeah, regardless, it's such an amazing book anyway, and I'm so happy I read it, and now I can't wait to like gush about it and have everyone else in my life read it, because it was just so good. And again, if you're ready to shed some tears, only then pick it up, because I was hooked from the very beginning somehow. And so the very end definitely broke me, but at the same time, I don't know, I feel like emotionally hollow after having read it, because what do you mean we got that ending? Like, yeah, it was perfect, but at the same time, I don't know, okay? I'm trying not to cry right now, but I think it was an incredible story, and here we are. I'm happy to have gotten to it, and now I will move on and hopefully pick up another book, because I haven't been able to in the meanwhile. But hopefully pick up something else to read now next, maybe the final book for this video, and see y'all next once I have a new review to give y'all. But until then, I don't know how I'm going to move on from this, because I cannot think of anything else. That's literally the only thing on my mind. I'm going like a tape recorder on loop at the moment, just thinking about things I want to say about this and trying to convince you to read it, because it was that incredible to me at least, which is why here I am. I will move on now, hopefully to another book. But so far I feel like this video has been a banger anyway, because I've been finding the best books ever, and I'm just so happy I recorded this, because what do you mean, I found like such an amazing book in this week, and it's been such an incredible week overall. So here we are. This one and the book before this that I read, Fake Skating, haven't been able to stop thinking about either, so we'll just see which one turns out to be the 5 stars. But I will go start our next book now, and I'll see y'all hopefully in a bit once I have updates to give on that. But I do have to get to college tomorrow, because classes are now cancelled, which is why I don't know if I'll be listening to any on the commute. Maybe I'm going with a friend, who knows. So it will take a little bit until I get to finishing our next book, but we'll see anyway. And now I'll see y'all directly whenever I see you. So bye. Sorry for this rambling update, but that's all I could give you at the moment. At least this book has consumed me in the best way possible, and I'm happy about it. Hi guys, and so it's now time for my final update because it's the same night that I'll be posting this video today that I've finally gone ahead and finished the last book for it. And in my defense, it did definitely take me some time to get through with it. I did want to take my own sweet time doing so because it was that much of like a profound book in my opinion that I wanted to savor my experience of reading it, which is why I took a little bit to get through with it. But at this point I'm finally done with it anyway, so it's time for an update because I still feel like this was quite the banger of a book to especially end off such like an incredible video off on, because I found yet another amazing read, which is why here I am now to come in and give you my final review on the book My Friends by Fredrik Backman, because I'm done at this point, and then the outro because that'll be the end of this vlog. But before anything, let me give you a summary so you can actually understand what I'm speaking about when I give you my thoughts, because I have quite a lot to say. But basically in this book, although our main character Louisa, she's like a 17-18-year-old teenager, and the thing is she doesn't have the normal sort of regular life that any other teenage kid probably has out there, because she's gone through quite a rough start, especially considering the fact that she's been going around from foster home to foster home growing up. So she's never really had like a stable environment to look forward to. It's always been like rocky with its own ups and downs. Except as this is happening, one day in one of her foster homes, she actually comes across this like postcard with like a painting on it that somehow she actually ends up finding her own solace and peace and comfort in, and suddenly that becomes her home because she herself is an artist, and something about that painting is like compelling and alluring enough to kind of draw her in, to the point where now that becomes her anchor in this like unsteady storm of everything else going on in her life. Now, thanks to the fact that she's actually discovered this painting, she actually has this new goal she kind of comes up with, wherein she actually wants to go ahead and see it at least once in her lifetime in real life in front of her face before it kind of gets sold off to like a private rich collector who won't really appreciate it the way she would, which is why she ends up going and crashing the auction that is being sold at just to get like one glimpse of it. Except as all of this is happening in the most like unexpected sort of circumstances of events, she the very next day actually ends up inheriting this painting sort of. So now she's the proud owner of it, and she obviously understands it in a way that no one else does, but she doesn't really know what to do with it because it's a painting of the sea, and it's very much popular and famous all across the world for being a painting of the sea, but no one sees it the way she does, considering the fact that even though it's set on a pier, the focus is actually the three little friends drawn in the background of it, and they are the most important part of the painting, not the sea. And so the thing is, now she actually wants to find someone who will appreciate the painting the way she does, considering the fact that it's about the friends and not the sea, to figure out what to do with it next, because she's still newly like 18 and whatnot. She can very much be tricked into like letting go of it and kind of cheated out of it, and so she's kind of going through her own stages of ups and downs. But before anything, she also wants to figure out what happened to the kids in the painting, because she has her own like ideologies and sort of like theories about it, because she's more connected to the painting than anyone else would be. So now enter Ted, our other main character. He's very much like older at this point. I think he's like 39, 40 or something like that. Not too old, but definitely older than her. And if you're wondering how he fits in, he's actually one of the paintings that the artist of the painting ended up drawing in. So he's like one of the friends and whatnot sitting by the pier. And now it's like 25 years later that Ted is being portrayed and whatnot, and he knows definitely where the painting came from, its own origins and roots and the story behind it. And so, again, in like a bizarre set of circumstances, he actually ends up offering for Louisa to come along with him on this like train journey to kind of visit the hometown where the painting was made, so like the artist's hometown, to kind of take that time out together, figure out what they're going to do with the painting next, kind of help her so no one like scams her out of it, but at the same time kind of fulfill that innate curiosity within her to kind of figure out the main backstory behind it, especially behind those four friends and the summer that the painting was painted, and like the whole story behind that, because you actually start to find out that all of these friends have had similar childhoods to hers, which is why she feels like one of their people, and which is why the painting was given to her in the first place, because all of them have some sort of like problem going on at the moment at like home and stuff, to the point where it's not a very easy childhood. It's definitely harder to get through it, but you still watch these four friends meeting up every day in the summertime by the pier, kind of finding solace and peace and comfort in each other, and kind of trusting each other, even though the kind of life they've lived up to that point, even though they're like only 14 and 15, has kind of led them to like give them reasons to still trust anyone, but they still end up doing it with their own like 4 friends and whatnot. And I feel like it's such an incredible story as you go along with it, because the author has this like very interesting way of, I guess, telling you the story. It's almost like he's telling you a bit of the memory from like Ted's perspective as Ted is narrating it to you, except every few chapters he goes back to the same memory and he has a little bit of more like information and details that he skipped out on the first time. So it always happened in the memory, it's just he kind of withheld certain bits of information from you that, as you know, he goes back to each memory and kind of enhances on it, almost like going back to a painting and refining it. You kind of figure out that the key details are actually what makes the art more beautiful. And that's the whole point, because it adds context to the story and it adds depth. And all I'll say is, again, the way the author has done it, truly incredible. The characters to me felt three-dimensional, because you're not only following their friendship, but you're also following their lives and everything else that comes with it. And you know how they're still there for each other in this like strong way that shows you like the beauty, again, and art and friendship, and the whole way it's encapsulated in that painting, and how it's more than just a painting. It's more of like the story of their lives, and you know, everything else that comes with it, because there's like a lot of themes and tropes in this. There's like grief and love and loss and just life, and so many, again, profound things that I want to keep going on about it, but I also don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't read it. So please go ahead and do so. But if you haven't, please check trigger warnings before you do, because while nothing goes in depth, there's quite a few topics that have been discussed at length, and all I'll say is it definitely is a painful read. You should definitely look up triggers if you have to, because your mental health always comes first. Next thing I also wanted to mention is the fact that the author has done such like a great job between like the unlikely friendship that's been struck up between Louisa and Ted, and then later on the rest of like the gang and whatnot, because we have another couple characters introduced towards the end that we get a final like face-to-face greeting with, even though we've been hearing their story throughout, because they are much older and at different stages in their life, but because all of them, all these people and Louisa innately have this like, I guess, like inner child within them, the way the friendship has connected them, the way they have this like different way of looking at the world and just beautiful art and stuff. For some reason, the way the friendship is kind of built up on that shared connection, I thought that was genuinely beautiful. Another thing I actually found beautiful, the third thing, was the writing, the way the author's done it, because just the way he's written this book, that is the art, just the way he talks. I find it so incredible that out there, again, there's like a human who is able to like articulate himself in this sort of specific way, because what do you mean? What do you mean we have someone who genuinely thought of this and was able to like write it in such like a beautiful way down? Because this, again, a few years down the line, I can easily look at it becoming a classic, because it's that amazing and it would totally deserve that. The next thing I wanted to mention is the fact that I don't know how he did it as well, but the author does such like an incredible job of like balancing like heavy scenes with lighthearted moments, because I don't know how many times at this point I've lost track, but this is easily one of the, I guess, like most cried books I've ever had. So I've cried the most while reading it, because there are these random scenes and like random lines that as he's adding on to like the memory and you get context behind it, I don't know, it just broke me sometimes. And there were certain scenes wherein I couldn't help it, I was like tearing up and like absolutely breaking down for these characters. But then within like the same scene itself, only a few like paragraphs down, he's like discussing something else, and suddenly, you know, I'm giggling through the tears, because there's like funny bits introduced, and like just the way he balances like the humor between like the heavy elements and kind of brings this sort of like dynamic that shows you, again, human life, because it's not always one specific emotion, it's like a mix of everything. I don't know, I just thought it was so beautiful and incredible the way he's done it, because again, like I said, I was giggling hysterically at some bits, but then the others I was just like crashing out, actually sobbing tears, and you know, having the worst time ever, because it hurt me so much. So all I'll say is the author did a great job of that, and kind of having you connect to the characters, because even the artist of the painting, you don't actually find out his name until the very end. And so for some reason still I was connected to his story the way Fredrik Backman did it, to the point where I was still crying for him and his story and his origin and his roots and his friends and everything else that came with it. That I think it was like a perfect, well-rounded story with everything that had to come in it, and I had the best time ever. And I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars. It was so good. I think the only reason I'm not giving it 5 is, again, because I'm not sure whether it's 5, and that, you know, usually means that it probably isn't, just like our previous book. I'm still kind of unsure, so I'll take my time thinking it over. If I do, it'll definitely be 5. But I do definitely think another thing that probably contributes to the fact that it's not 5 stars is the fact that every time I went to pick this book up, I was almost dreading it, because I was not ready for like little holes being punctured into my heart as I was reading it, which is why I definitely had to take my own sweet time reading it, take the breaks, so I wouldn't like I guess, wear myself out to the point where I was emotionally slumped, which is why it took some time, but we're done at this point, and I'm happy still because we still found a 4.5-star read. And so at this point, every single book in this video has been 4.5 stars and incredible time overall, and I'm happy I got to it. I will still see and think it over for like the next few days at this point, only because at this point I just finished it and I just gave my rating fresh off the bat, and it's still going to be edited and posted the same night the video, which is why I'm unsure. So maybe in my end of year wrap up, if you see this, it has potential to become a 5-star if I keep thinking about it. You can keep track of it on my Goodreads and whatnot if you want to. But yeah, here we are. Maybe it's because I'm like unsure between 4.5 and 5. That's why I'm not sure if it's 5, because if it would have been, I would have been 100% sure. But anyway, I'm still happy I read this. I had the best time ever, and this was the final book for this video. So now we've reached the end of this video. I feel like it was such like an incredible like success overall, because every single book I found was a 4.5-star new favorite. It's crazy because I was looking for only one specific one, but we found 4 different books that I cannot stop obsessing over, to the point where I'm so happy that we did this, because now I'm like super recharged again to like go back into reading books with like a fresh open mind, because I found the best ones ever. So like, what if I find some more over the next like few weeks and whatnot as I continue, which is why here we are. Thank you for coming along with me today, and thank you for kind of staying tuned, because we have kind of successfully weathered, I think, the worst of the reading slump. It's only getting better from now, hopefully, which is why here we are. And all I can say to kind of conclude it is the fact that these choice award recommendations really work, and everyone who kind of voted on like the favorite books or whatnot is correct, because like I found the best ones ever. So if you haven't read any of these, please go ahead and do so. If you have, comment your own thoughts down below with me so we can discuss, because like that's our own version of mini book club. But yeah, overall I think it was a great idea, because like I cannot wait to do this now every single year at this point, make it like an annual tradition and find my favorite books ever, because the internet is probably always going to be correct in this sense about the best books ever, because I found the best ones, and here we are. One thing I do want to say before I kind of give you my final outro and whatnot is the fact that I had to cave. I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I ended up getting my own physical copy of Fake Skating. So really happy about that. I am really tempted at this point to go back and reread it. So we shall see what I end up doing in the next few weeks, and if I do, this definitely will get bumped up to like a 5-star. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention that I did end up getting a copy, like I said I would, a couple days ago once I finished it, because it was that incredible that I needed one. And yeah, again, a great sign and a great testament to this entire video, because this is the first book that made me cave this year to actually break my book buying ban and get it, because it was that amazing. And so here we are. So now that we have reached the end of this video, hopefully you guys did have like a fun time coming along with me today, and if you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And if you all want me again to do this with like a whole different set of recommendations and maybe some of the other genres I didn't do so far for the, I guess, like choice awards, let me know. I'll get to it whenever I can. Until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay tuned for next week's video, because it's also going to be like a really fun one, because I've been waiting so long to do that, and it's going to be finally time once I sit down to record that, now that I am really excited to read again, which is why I see y'all directly next week now. And until then, bye.